I had something wonderful happen to me today. I'll just take a minute here to share it with people. I mean, when something wonderful. Well, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about my life. It occurred to me a couple of years ago, I have an unusual life. For a long time, I just thought, well, we're all pretty much like me. Well, God forbid we're not. And but I have an odd life, and you know, when I wake up, every day is like I've been abducted and taken to Disney World. Just every day. Just every day, you just never know, you know?
Yeah.
And also, I've discovered over the last few years, I'm my own worst enemy. I'm my own worst enemy. Here, let me tell you what, but listen, this has a glorious ending, so don't despair. By the time we're done, and I hope to God we have enough tape for this story, by the time something wonderful and lovely happens. So here's the deal. Now, I like to exercise, and when I exercise, I run. Now, well, that's kind of a euphemism now, but it's still, that's what I try to do. And I don't know if you're like me in this regard, but I don't like being photographed while I'm running.
Oh,
you know, I don't. Maybe people like being photographed while they're exercising. I don't, for two reasons. One, you're just out there and you kind of, you know, you like to sweat and smell bad, and you're thinking of stuff, and that's, you know, you like to be alone. And number two, when I run, I look like a plucked ostrich. So I don't, So now, like a year ago, I'm out running, and I run down to this track, and I'm running. And when I go out, I'm no piker. I'm out there for at least an hour. I'm doing like anywhere between 5 and 7, 7.5, 8 miles.
Right.
So I'm out there running, ladies and gentlemen. You know, so I can go down there, and I'm running around the track, and I see a guy with a camera. Now, it's not like a tourist. It's not like somebody from Des Moines. This is one of those guys. And so I run up to the guy and I say, what are you doing? And he says, well, I'm taking your picture. And I say, well, I would rather you don't take my picture because I look like a plucked ostrich.
Yeah.
And so he and I get into a little bit of a tussle, and he says, well, you know, this is my job. And he says, you're a celebrity and I can take all the pictures you want. Now, I realize now, okay, this is a professional. It's more or less a public place. There's not much I can do about this. You see, I mean, he's doing what he can do. Legally, I can't do a thing. So I came upon a little strategy, and it's a two-part. Loudly and intently, I scream obscenities at the guy. I get as close to him as I can, and I'm screaming obscenities to the guy. And the first reason I do this is because I want to make the experience as uncomfortable for him as he is making it for me.
For you.
And don't kid yourself, I've had pretty good luck with this strategy. Now, wait a minute. Now, the second reason I do this, when I scream the obscenities at these guys while they're taking my picture, the second reason, and God forgive me, I find it enormously satisfying. So, and then I always throw a little thing, how would you like it if I took your picture? If I followed you around all day and took your picture? Where do you live? I'm coming to your house. Let me take your picture. Would you like that? You know, and they always play dumb. Well, I don't care. You can take your picture of me if you want. I don't care. What do I care? Because they don't get it, you know, they got their job to do. And so this is like a year ago, and these pictures are published, I guess, and I got reports from zoos across the country. Oh my God! Where can we get us a plucked ostrich? PETA was, who plucked that damn ostrich?
PETA was Anyway.
So now this morning, I'm out running, I'm going out, and I decide, okay, I'm going on a long run, and you go down the highway, and you go down like 1.5 miles, and you make a right-hand turn, and you go another 1.5 miles, and you make another right-hand turn. So, you know, I'm more or less 3 miles from home, and I make the third right turn, and there's a car sitting right there, and I think to myself, I wonder if this is somebody who wants to take a picture of me running. You know, you think that way because over the years, sometimes it happens. And again, these aren't tourists, you know, these aren't folks who come to see the show. These are professional photographers. So I run, oh, sure enough, look at there, it's the same guy from a year before. Same guy. So I said, hey, well, I thought we talked about this. That's what I said to him. And then he gets right out of the car, and immediately I start screaming obscenities at him. What the hell are you doing? You get back in the car, leave me alone. And he said, well, it's my job. I'm sorry, it's my job. I said, I don't care. I said, you don't have to do this, and blah, blah, blah. And we're yakking back and forth. And as I'm screaming, because I've been running, there's a great deal of spittle has accumulated. And I'm now soaking the poor kid in the And he says, hey, stop spitting on me. And I said, okay, how about this? You stop taking pictures, I'll stop spitting on you. I thought, that'll hold up in front. Are you enjoying this so far?
Yeah, it's fascinating so far. Anyway.
Okay, so I said to the guy, I said, what's your name? And he says, it's Chris. And I said, oh, yeah, Chris. And I'll just do, and you got to believe me, these are probably very nice people. But from my perspective, they're goons.
At this point, yeah.
But they're probably lovely people. They probably do volunteer work in the community, work at hospices. They're probably great people.
Of course.
But, you know, when there's one
now,
situation, I'm screaming obscenity. It's like when a manager goes out to argue with the umpire. That's exactly what this is. So now, as I'm yakking it up with Chris, and he's a nice enough kid, you know, got like a jar head with tiny eyes, and I see that he's got like a buddy, with him in the car, and right away, and I'm not as stupid as I look, I'm thinking, you know, this ain't a two-man job. That's what I'm thinking, to take pictures of me running. Yeah. You don't need two guys. So the other guy gets out, and honest to God, you know, and again, he's probably a very nice man, but he looks like a side of beef in a parka. So I said, and you? I said, what's your part in all of this? And he starts saying, oh, you know, when I come out and I like to see you, you know, it's pretty impressive, see a guy your age running like this. Well, now that pisses me off. That pisses me off. And so he says, you know, I couldn't even run a mile. And I said, great, you'd be a wonderful photographer. I'm thinking, I got a zinger in there on that one. So it continues, and they won't stop, and it's just click, 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 and suddenly I'm more photographed than the Statue of Liberty. I just like 1,000 pictures of me, and it's Chris and his buddy Beefy, and they're just yakking away. And I'm screaming as loud as I can because in the back of my mind, I think sooner or later somebody will come out of their house and say, leave him alone. Stop that. Leave that boy alone. But nothing happens, so... So now, Chris says to me, he says, wait till you see what we're going to do with these pictures. And I said, oh, what do you have planned, Chris? And he said, we're going to make you look really bad. We're going to make you look very, very bad. We're going to show people that you're not a very nice guy. So this kind of gets your attention. I said, well, exactly how do you plan on doing that? And now, when I say that, Beefy doubles over with laughter, and he says, I'm wearing a tape recorder. We have everything you've said on tape. So I think to myself, well, the boys have got me over a barrel now. Here's kind of a sticky situation, because for 40 minutes I've been screaming obscenities at them. So I'm thinking to myself, geez, we need something good here. We need a little thing here. We got to have a little button. We got to have a little fix, a little topper. We got to have a little ender on this thing. How do we exactly get out of this? I'm thinking to myself, and I look over, and there's their car. And, of course, when they left out of the car, they left the engine running, and the doors are wide open. So I go over to the car. I kind of bend inside. I find the ignition. I turn off the car, remove the keys. Now I have the keys. And now he's taking pictures of me with his keys. And he says, this is a police matter. This is a police matter. And he gets out his little cell phone, and I said, be my guest, call the police. I said, what really are the police going to do? You guys can't get your car keys away from me? That's the problem? You can't take your car keys away from a plucked ostrich? You and Beefy can't get your keys back? You're going to call the police and tell them that? So he says... He says, breaking and entering, breaking and entering, breaking and entering. And I said, hey, dumbass. The doors are wide open, and by the way, I'll take my chances with breaking and entering. And at that point, I put the keys in my pocket, and I continued running. And I want to tell you, for one brief, shining moment, ladies and gentlemen, I felt like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
I felt just... So you see how that goes.
And is that the end of the story? I want to know what happened after that.
Well, what happens after that, I run for a while, and I think, well, I got these guys' car keys, and they're back there. Oh, hey, what?
Yeah.
Record this, boys!
Yeah, really.
So I run a while, and I just toss the car keys into the street, and then, of course, they retrieve it, and then as I'm finishing up my run, they come by, and now I'm like Joe Frazier doing road work.
Yes.
Beefy is at the wheel, and Chris is hanging out the back, and... So now they have 4,000 pictures of me, and of course, the lovely soundtrack. So...
Well, we'll look forward to that then.
What?
We will look forward to that.
Yes.
We know this thing.
But I'm telling you, man, when I had those car keys, I just felt like, yeah! Here we go!
Some story.
We got...
Yeah, you know, it's pretty impressive to see you out here running, especially at your age.
Great.